Hey folks, my name is Mo Amir and this is VANCOLOUR, British Columbia's bona fide culture and politics TV talk show. Tonight is all about scams, and not the run-of-the-mill scams like those phone calls you get from the Canada Revenue Agency saying that there's a warrant out for your arrest, because you know that those are scams. Instead, as per usual, we're gonna get a little spicy. Dino Archie is here to tell you why Airbnb is a scam, and Kyla Lee is here to tell you why ICBC is a scam. But first, let's set the stage by exploring what it means to be a scam or to be scammed. Returning to the show, she's an expert in cults, a scam in their own right, and police entrapment, another type of scam. She's the author of Don't Call It a Cult and the producer of the CBC podcast Pressure Cooker. She is Sarah Berman. Sarah, so nice to see you.
Really nice to see you, and thank you for that introduction.
Absolutely. So I was thinking about scams, and I immediately thought of you.
Perfect.
Because you've done some incredible work on NXIVM, which was a cult, but also a multi-level marketing organization, so that's a scam. And then you clearly did a lot of work and a lot of research in your recent CBC podcast about John Nuttall and Amanda Carodi and their police entrapment case, which also was kind of a scam because clearly they got scammed into thinking they were a part of something that they weren't. So who better to talk to and ask, what is a scam? How should we think about what a scam is?
Right. Well, I think we all have this basic concept of a bait and switch, right? So somebody who's pretending to be, say, a terrorist who is actually a police officer. That seems pretty straightforward. Or, you have the CRA example that you gave. That's pretty straightforward as well. But I do think in this digital age, we have more of a gray area when it comes to scams. We have companies like FTX, you have Theranos, big moonshot companies who actually do get a lot of money and endorsement and do ride this line of, maybe it is true. Maybe this genius really is going to pull off their big promise. And you don't find out until, well, I guess usually a fraud trial will prove that for you. But
right.
But yeah, I think we've gotten a little lost in terms of what a scam actually is. And so, yeah, I have been
we call too many things scams when maybe they're not actually scams.
Well, I think it goes both ways. Yes,
okay.
I think it can be an overbroad term where we call anything we don't like a scam. And I think that's not necessarily useful. Yes, but I think also it goes the other way where, something can be very scam-like, but can have all the appearances of a legitimate business or product. It has the slick marketing. It has the testimonials of very famous or rich people. That was the case with NXIVM, where they had testimonials. They had a lot of very influential people saying that this was the greatest thing they'd ever done in their life. So,
right. I feel like there's an element of the scam artist or the scammer knowing that they are deceiving someone, knowing that they are committing fraud. Like that element of intent is what creates a scam, right?
I think so, but I also think there are people who believe their own hype. So there are examples, and I would say Billy McFarland maybe fits into
Fyre
this.
Fest.
The Fyre Fest guy. He's out of prison, by the way, and he is promoting a Fyre Fest 2.
Totally not a scam.
On his Instagram, he's
so
doing
legit.
The orange squares and everything.
Oh, he is? Okay, this is just the same playbook that he used last time that landed him in prison.
Just asking for more money. What could go wrong? But I think he believes his own hype, and I think there are a lot of sort of characters who think they're geniuses and charmers who think they can just will something into existence, fake it till you make it.
I feel like anyone can be scammed. So are there specific personality traits that are being preyed upon when we think of how scam artists operate?
Right. So I think something to really think about during the pandemic is that we were all very isolated and we were very much going through a digital screen into all of our lives. So that set us up, I guess, to have interactions with people who were new, who were finding us online, who might not be, who they say they are.
Right.
So
getting
romance,
catfished.
Yes, catfish.
Yeah.
I mean, romance scams aren't necessarily, someone, with a fake profile picture just immediately asking you for Bitcoin or whatever. They can also be very elaborate, where you have an actual relationship going on. But they're keeping you isolated. They're keeping you from talking to your family and friends. And they might be exerting, a potentially...
Those are long cons, right? Like we've seen in documentaries like the Tinder swindler.
Right. Yeah. And so I think those were, also trends during the pandemic over the last 4 years of people really finding they're being exploited online.
How do I know if I'm being scammed? Like, what are the telltale signs, or are there any telltale signs?
Right. Well, I think with the companies I was talking about, like FTX and, like Fyre Fest, you have one personality at the center of it all, and they've got this sort of genius persona that permeates every part of the organization. And I think it's tough because some companies do kind of use the language and psychology of cults, where you have to be all or nothing into...
I feel like you're describing Twitter or X.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. It could be almost anything. But definitely if that culture is like all or nothing pervasive, that would be a red flag for me.
Okay.
Definitely you want to check a track record. So for Keith Raniere, he had already done a pyramid scheme before.
Right.
He had done this buyers club that had
And Keith
failed.
Raniere is the founder of NXIVM.
Correct. Yeah. So he... went to jail for 120 years for the NXIVM case. So that was a case where, there was a track record, and some people did see that and got themselves out of the NXIVM situation early and weren't as harmed as other people.
Bottom line, if something is too good to be true, we should all be suspicious of it, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Always these things take advantage of something that we want to be true really badly.
Right.
Often there is a kernel of truth, like Theranos. Yes, the healthcare system needed to be revolutionized. People were looking for answers. People wanted to believe in it, and they saw very influential people supporting it. So, of course, even though they were fudging the details in the background, committing investor fraud, people just wanted to believe it.
Right. Sarah, I love your insights. I love all the work you're doing. Thank you so much for illuminating us and setting up tonight's episode on scams and how to seek out scams and making sure that you're immune from them. So I appreciate your time tonight.
Anytime. I've got more tips if you need them.
Oh, absolutely. We'll have you back on. Perfect. Thanks so much. Folks, one of my absolute favorites. She is Sarah Berman. If you still haven't picked up her book, Don't Call It a Cult, make sure you do so. Now, after some business, I love dumping on Airbnb, but I'm going to let my buddy do the heavy lifting on this one tonight. Comedian Dino Archie gives us his report from the low road up next.